The news is here. Bethesda has made a statement, an update on Redfall and Starfield, saying, guess what? They've both been delayed. Now, I know you're very disappointed. I am very disappointed. I was looking forward. 11/11/22 Starfield. We're going to get this awesome Skyrim-esque RPG in space. I'm very much into No Man's Sky right now. That's what was really driving my desire for Starfield. It had everything that I'm looking for. Space, RPG, story. I want it. But it's been delayed. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the reaction to it, whether or not we should be angry. Should we be happy? Should we be sad? I'm going to tell you how to feel. That's right. I'm going to tell you how to feel. Let's jump into this right now. Here is the update over on Twitter, the statement made by Bethesda themselves. This was made early this morning. So here's what Bethesda has to say. We've made the decision to delay the launches of Redfall and Starfield to the first half of 2023. Notice they say first half of 2023 because initially when I first heard it, I said, oh, we'll just get it in the first quarter. This means we can get it in the first 2 quarters. So 6 months into 2023 at the latest it would come. So we're talking almost a year from now, really. In fact, a year from now. Just over a year from now, if it were to go that full time. I don't know if it will, but that's for both Redfall and Starfield. Now, I'm not going to focus so much on Redfall here in this video because Redfall, I'll be honest, because I'm not that into Redfall. I'm very much into Starfield. And based on what Phil Spencer has said about games like Starfield, where, he's just very excited to see them come. He thinks that this is going to be a big deal. I think Starfield has the perception of being the bigger game for Bethesda for now, and that's the one that most people are looking forward to. They continue. The teams at Arcane Austin, Redfall, and Bethesda Game Studio Starfield have incredible ambitions for their games, and we want to ensure that you receive the best, most polished versions of them. We want to thank everyone for their excitement for Redfall and Starfield. That energy is a huge part of what inspires all of us every day and drives our own excitement for what we are creating. We can't wait to share our first deep dive into gameplay for both Redfall and Starfield soon. Thank you for your support. Now, I think we are going to get gameplay of both of these games during the Xbox Bethesda showcase here in under a month now. So that's very exciting. Initial reaction, yes, very disappointed. The question that comes to my mind is why? Why are we having this delay? And for that, we turn to none other than the one and only Jason Schreier. And in a response to this, here's what Jason Schreier, the gaming insider, has to say. He said, last spring before E3, I spoke to some folks on Starfield who were extremely worried about committing to a 11/11/22 date. That was the release date. Based on the progress they'd made so far. Next Cyberpunk was the term floated. Good on Bethesda for delaying even after announcing that specific date. I agree, particularly if this is true. I think Jason Schreier has been pretty reliable on these inside sources. I do think he has an axe to grind and an agenda sometimes, on a political agenda at that. But on insider information, I think he's always been on point. And I don't doubt that this was true, that some people inside of Starfield were worried about being the next Cyberpunk. Now, what does that mean? The next Cyberpunk. Well, Cyberpunk was super, super ambitious. Very ambitious game. In fact, so ambitious that I think it's one of the most hyped games of my lifetime, to be perfectly honest. My short, supple lifetime. And everybody was expecting, look at this world building. Look at what it's going to do. Look at how this reacts. What they were showing off with this living, breathing world was just next level. And then you put it in this Cyberpunk universe. This is going to be amazing. And then it released, and there was tons of bugs. It released way too early. I'd say at least a year too early. It had already been delayed multiple times. And then when it released, on the last generation consoles, on the Xbox One, the PS4, it was unplayable for most people. Now, I played it on the Series X. And even then, I'm not getting the full version of what I should be getting on the Series X. The PC version was much, much higher, and there were still a lot of bugs. And we still aren't over that. And I don't think Cyberpunk has recovered from that, and it's yet to be determined if they will recover from that. We don't have DLC yet for it. Just a lot of broken promises. Even if those promises aren't necessarily broken, they are just delayed. The perception is that Cyberpunk ultimately is a failure, even though it sold massive amount of copies. even though with all the bugs, it's still, by anyone who's finished it, a decent game. It just isn't what the hype was. So the fact that people on the team for Starfield were worried that Starfield would be the next Cyberpunk is, I mean, like Jason Schreier said, good on Bethesda for delaying this. That's absolutely the right call. Starfield is Xbox's next big exclusive, coming to Game Pass and PC and Xbox. It has to deliver on it. With the hype that is surrounding Starfield, it does have to deliver. Now, I don't think it has the hype that a Cyberpunk had, for sure. Again, that's one of the most hyped games that I've ever seen. But it does have hype, and it is seen as this marquee title. And so delaying it, and it's a substantial delay. Remember, that's almost a year from now. That is a year from now, in fact. The first 6 months of 2023 is when we could get Starfield. And so, right call, yes, absolutely. Disappointed? Yes, I was looking forward to playing this. Now my entire winter gaming lineup has completely shifted. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll figure out what to play. We'll figure it out. But just to underscore the importance of this delay and why I do think ultimately it is the right decision is because of the way that Phil Spencer has talked about this game. And he talked about this game over when was this written? This was February, so just a few months ago. This is an article over at Video Games Chronicle. Phil Spencer wants to make Starfield the most played Bethesda game ever. And here's what he said specifically. Now, he was talking about the records that Halo Infinite at 20 million players set, and also Forza Horizon 5 at 18 million players. Those both smashed records for Xbox. He said, quote, "I love the Forza 5 and Halo stats. I love how many people played Psychonauts 2 versus Psychonauts 1. So when I look at the teams, when Todd and I talk about Starfield, it's, quote, how do we make sure this is the most played Todd Howard game ever? And the way you do not do that is by dropping a game that's not ready to be dropped. So if this is the discussion happening, if Phil Spencer views Starfield as having that kind of potential, then I think this move by Bethesda to delay it is obviously the right call. There's enough games on Game Pass. No big deal if we wait to make sure that what is released is top tier. And I, as a gamer, appreciate that. I, as a consumer, appreciate that. And I hope that when it is released, I hope we don't get any more delays. I think the problem is setting up a time. Whenever you set that time for release, you set an expectation. And when you set that expectation, whenever you then have to delay, there's disappointment there. And so if you now set this expectation, okay, first half of 2023, which means by summer, I'm going to be able to play Starfield. If there's another delay after that, you're going to compound that disappointment. And I think that was the issue with Cyberpunk, is that they had delayed it so many times. They were facing so much pressure. They said, we got to release this. Let's just release it. So make sure your dates are accurate, number one. Number two, if your game's not ready, don't release it. So I'm glad ultimately that this is happening with Starfield. And we'll see. Hopefully it pays off, and hopefully they're able to make it the game that they envision it and the game that we envision it and we're excited for. I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think? Do you think this delay is appropriate? Are you excited for it? Not excited for it? Are you disappointed? Perfectly honest, I have plenty of games to play. So not too disappointed, but I am disappointed, obviously. I was really looking forward to play it. But I do think it's the right call. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, don't forget that like button. Subscribe to this channel. I'm X1 the Gamer. It's all Xbox all the time. And we'll see you guys in the next video.